So we have 1 hour right now to solve every mystery of the universe, find out the meaning of our existence, and what this whole universe is about. So I'm going to lead it and then ask Vamadeva to comment, and then at a certain point bring you in on how does this relate to how we feel. You know. Okay, so for a long time, at least I have been obsessed with the idea that no system of thought can give us access to reality. And as we look at systems of thought throughout the ages, including Vedic systems of thought, because, you know, I think no system of thought has a privileged position over another system of thought for the person who's embedded in that, you know. And so as we've thought about the universe, and I showed you a little bit about this, first there was the divine universe, and, you know, God somehow magically created the universe in 7 days, even though there was nothing to measure the day. You know, there was no earth and there was no planet going around the sun. The concept of day couldn't have existed. And then you had, you know, the mythological universes, all kinds, the Newtonian universe with Newton's laws of classical physics, Einstein's relativistic universe, quantum universe, and ultimately uncertain universe. And none of these models, because they are models, actually explains existence or awareness of existence. I mean, those are the only two things we can be certain about. We exist, this exists, whatever it is, and we are aware of it. And of course, if we go to another construct, Vedic construct, the essential nature of reality is Sat, Chit, Anand. Sat means truth, Chit is awareness, and if there is no construct, no ego construct either, and no body construct, no universe construct, then it's a state of bliss. So first of all, what I'd like to ask you, Swami Vamadeva, who's one of the greatest scholars of Vedic science that I have known in my life, is, you know, we do have a construct, the subtle body, the causal body, the physical universe. First of all, is that a model? Is it a construct? And then is it a useful construct? Because, you know, constructs can be very useful. The scientific construct got me on an airplane from New York so I could be here. Okay? But that construct doesn't tell me what the meaning of existence is, right? Or it doesn't even give me a clue to what is birth, what is death, do we have a soul, etc., etc. Does God exist? In the classical sense, by the way, even God is a construct. Okay, in the same way as the universe is a construct. So first of all, just address this. How do we get constructs? And I believe you did something this morning too, deconstruction. So why deconstruct and why get there?
Yes, yes. Well, the point is we're constantly constructing. That is the activity of the mind, imaginative activity of the mind. And what the construct proves to us is the construct, if something has to be constructed, it's not inherently real. If it's self-existence, no construct is required. So we're constantly constructing our reality, which means that it's not real. And that construct is always changing and always being built up. What the Vedic thought teaches us is to go beyond constructs. The limitations of concepts, the limitations of mind.
Which is right in the first chapter, Patanjali.
Yeah.
Going to the source of thought.
Yeah.
Because where's the construct? It is at the source of thought, right?
Well, the construct is the construct is thought. There's no thought that's not a construct. There's no construct.
That in which the construct is constructed.
It is behind the construct, or it is the light of awareness. The construct is the mind. And the construct has outer usefulness, but not inner reality. There's a difference between the two. We have a certain practical reality, you know, how we live, how we eat, all these things. There are certain things that are necessary and practical. But then we have an inner existential reality that is eternal, transcendent, and beyond any practical need. And that's where we get caught. We get caught in the practical as being the real, when the practical is a temporary construct that we have to deal with. It's a karmic reality that can be transcended. So you are not a construct. You have constructs. In your essential nature, you transcend all constructs.
You don't mind if I interrupt you, right? No, because I think I want to clarify certain things. You said you are not a construct,
Yes.
but the body is a construct.
Body is a construct.
The mind is a construct, and the universe is a construct. But yes, you are not a construct.
Your awareness and being is not a construct. And the awareness and being in all things, the presence is not a construct. And construct is matter, prakriti, maya. It's something put together. It's involved with time, space, action, transient, coming and going. So it's like the clouds in the sky. It comes up, it goes down. But there is an inner reality behind it. And we all have a sense of our existential being, who we are, our oneness, our continuity, our eternality. That is what we need to understand. We need to get back to the existential ground of being. We can accept the phenomenal changes outwardly, but we shouldn't take them as constituting the inner reality, which they're not. They're the movie you're watching.
Again, then, if the body is a construct, and so is the mind a construct, then birth and death are also constructs. There is actually no birth and no death.
There's no birth.
Because yesterday I was saying to our team here that one of the things to really live is with the conviction and feeling that you were never born. And also that everything you experience, which you have a word for, we have a word for this, is a construct. And that includes your body, includes your mind, really. So this is very empowering in a way. If you live your life, first of all, in a way that you feel in every moment and have that conviction that you were never born, therefore there's never no death, that everything you perceive for which you have a word. I mean, I was thinking this is probably the origin of the phrase, first there was the word and the word was kind of made into this reality. It's in a way even the fall from grace in a sense, because the moment we started getting constructs, we created good, evil, all of this. So this is a very empowering way to understand reality, and you can do it by the process of deconstruction, as you're saying. So sorry for the interrupt, but I just want to recycle this, what you're saying, in so many ways so we can get it.
Yeah, time and space are constructs of the mind. They don't exist apart from the mind. And also in terms of constructs, when we talk about having no birth and death, we are that light of awareness which is always present. So as I was telling them earlier, it says, you have never taken a breath. You will never take a breath. The body breathes. You have no hands and feet.
And this light does not create experience or brightness. No. There's only the light of awareness, Jyotish or Jyoti, your speciality. Right? This photons don't create experience, right?
Right, and the highest light is the transparent light of awareness that illumines even the darkness.
If you guys are not getting this, we'll put this on YouTube and you can look at it for 100 times till you get it, okay?
And not only that, our outer being is the construct, Deepak is the construct. Or as we say, all names are aliases. You really...
I said that yesterday. I said, you're all God in drag.
Or all God trying not to be God.
Yeah. How do I was looking at some of Ramana Maharishi's material, not only directly, but other people who have commented on it. And I spoke about 4 principles yesterday, which in passing, but these things need to be repeated. One is recognize that everything that you have a word for or a label for is a construct. 2 is you were never born. 3 is the the essential nature of all existence. Everything is totally without ego. This doesn't have an ego. No experience has an ego. It's another construct, and it's the construct that we keep defending. And finally, awareness is formless. And if we can just convince ourselves of these four things and start deconstructing, maybe we could be free.
Yes, in fact, it's easy for us to be free. We just have to stop constructing. See? You don't have to let go of anything. Just you have to stop holding on to things. See?
Yes.
Yeah. So the essential reality is always present. The constructs are moving around it. So we get caught up in the construct and forget the essential reality. And so what you have to understand is any construct, which all the appearances are, you just let them be like the clouds in the sky. They will come and go. They will do their own thing. And as Deepak said, you have no birth and you have no death. There is no change. There is no time and space within you, but then all time and space is within you. So we move out of that localized sense of self to we give up our limited identity and we become pure identity. We become identical with everything we see.
So now here's something, because I tread two worlds. I'm sitting here with you talking about deconstruction, and then last week I was speaking at Mass General, Harvard Medical School, talking about mind, brain, and the genome. But let's be honest, the brain is a construct. There's no such thing as a brain, right? It's fiction. And genes are a construct. So what are the constructs of? They are interpretations of very fundamental qualities of awareness, or qualia, which are sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, sense perceptions. And even as a kid, I used to wonder, we think our thoughts and our feelings are integral to us, but we don't think our perceptions are. We think there's actually a world out there. So can you talk a little bit about this? Because, depending on which world you are in, if you get totally bamboozled by the construct, you take it to be real, and yet it's useful. I mean, you have a patient with epilepsy, you see their brain waves, then you can give them the right appropriate drug. We're dealing with constructs, dealing with other constructs.
Yes. But you see, constructs have a value in the level of constructs. At the level of essential reality, they have no validity. The person who has physical pain, you have a construct for dealing with them, but that doesn't give them existential awareness in the process. So we have to understand the limitations of the constructs, and all these things, sensation, etc., they're activities of the mind. But you are the witness of the mind. The mind is the mechanism of construct. It's always creating motivation, desire, all these processes, time, space, person. But you are the one behind those things. And as you move through dream, deep sleep, all these things pass away.
So on a practical level then, because it's all very fascinating, wonderful to think about, but it shouldn't be hopelessly abstract, which it is in the beginning for people. Is yoga, whether it's bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, karma yoga, and of course Raj yoga, is yoga a way to go beyond the constructs?
Well, first of all, the person is the most basic of all constructs.
Say that again?
The person is the most basic of all constructs.
Yes, so as long as you think you are a person, then you will see other people.
Yes.
Okay? You've got to get rid of the idea that there is no person. The person is also a construct.
Yes, and yoga...
It's a process in consciousness, right? Of those same things, sensations, images, feelings, thoughts.
Well, those are in the mind. In consciousness, they don't exist.
They don't exist. They're, what would you say, vrittis of consciousness?
No, consciousness has no vrittis. Mind has vrittis.
Mind is a vritti.
Consciousness
mind is a vritti.
Mind is a collection of vrittis. And chitta vritti nirodha is yoga, is eliminating the constructs. But you can only eliminate the constructs by taking them back to their source. And that source is the pure self-awareness. The construct comes when you identify yourself with something. Then the mind comes into play, and then the body comes into play, and the world comes into play. When you go back to that original source, then you embrace everything from within and without.
And that's what yoga is.
That's what yoga is meant to be. First of all, the chitta vritti nirodha, the nirodha, nirvana, the deconstruction, and then tadas drashtra swarupa avasthanam, just the resting in the pure awareness. Or, you know, the last word in Yoga Sutras is Shakti. Chitta Shakti. Chitti Shakti. When it's in its swarupa pratishtha, when the power of consciousness dwells in itself rather than goes out. That's also the deconstruction.
So again, we have to use words, right? So to have this conversation, otherwise we could just sit in silence and that would be fine. That's also what we do here. But since we are using words, there's a word that's very dear to anyone who studies Vedanta, the kleshas, and the 5 kleshas.
Yes.
Could you enumerate the 5 kleshas as the root cause of all suffering?
Yes. Yes, you see, the 5 kleshas are factors of suffering. First of the kleshas is avidya, which is said to be ignorance. I'm going to go through them quickly and then redefine them. Second is asmita, which is the ego, self-identity or identified self. Then raga dvesha, the movement of dualities, attraction and repulsion. And then abhinivesha, which they call clinging to life. I like to redefine these in another way. First of all, avidya is limited knowledge. Limited knowledge born of the mind and the senses. We know something, but we don't know the whole. We take the knowledge of the part to be the whole. That is all what science is doing. Out of that avidya, asmita, comes arrogance. Because you know a little, you think you know the whole. This is the big problem with dealing with academic and intellectual people. And then out of that comes the dualities, love, hate, pleasure, pain. And then abhinivesha is addiction. We get addicted, attached, caught into things. So this is the whole process.
And the fear of death.
Fear of death. Yeah, it's the whole process of connection, of being caught in the world, and always say the spinning of samsara. So we have to go back and discover the pure vidya, the pure self-knowledge. And to do that, you have to give up your arrogance, the thinking that a little knowledge is the true knowledge. And this is the real challenge. And that's why the beginning of all true knowledge is recognizing that we don't know anything and that our means of knowledge cannot take us to true knowledge. But in that surrender and abandonment of the known, then there is the space for the self-revelation of the higher knowledge.
So at this point, I would like to ask Shambhavi something. And I hope I hear what I want to hear, because is love a construct, or is it a bigger truth?
Well, it really depends how we are envisioning or experiencing that love. At a core level, it's really ananda. And when we are aware that it is ananda, then we move into that core reality where we have already deconstructed everything and we rest in our truth, which is bliss, which is peace. It is all the constructing that we are doing that is really distancing us from that core reality. So love is really ananda. And if we can learn to experience it in its simplicity and truth, then everything will be in harmony. Because everything is really an experience or vibratory level of ananda, which is, Mother Earth or the great nature, the cosmic universe, the light behind the stars. That is really the experience of Shakti, which is ananda. So it depends how we are wanting to give expression to the word love.
In Gitanjali, Tagore says, love is not a mere sentiment, it's the ultimate truth at the heart of the universe, at the heart of creation. I think that's kind
Shakti.
of summarizes what you're saying. Then recently somebody sent me a poem from Khalil Gibran who says, God said, love your enemy, I obeyed by loving myself. because the love, the enemy is your construct, the ego construct. Let's then talk about, one of the 4 yogas. Bhakti yoga is the yoga of love ultimately, right? Can we find that in human relationship?
Definitely, if we identify ourselves with that purity or truth or that essence of love, which I would like to call really Ananda. And so Bhakti Yoga is really bringing you to a point of pure surrender. See, when you're in that mode of surrender, you forget who you are. So it is a very gentle and a very beautiful way of deconstructing, because you're in surrender to the ultimate. I would like to call it the divine. So for me, divinity is Ananda. So it's very important to be able to surrender. We are unable to surrender, and that's why we are using all these different constructs to really label things, and then we are trapped in that. So for me, I think that the awareness of being able to let go, to surrender, to envision that that outer world is not me. I am something higher and something purer, something divine, the infinite.
So love does not need to convince, cajole, control.
Shouldn't. In my relationship with Vamadeva ji, I think I deeply love him. I need none of these tools. I'm myself.
Could I make
And he
a
accepts
comment?
it.
Yes. I would just like to make a comment on Ananda. It's very much misunderstood.
Okay, let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
it is not bliss. It is not an emotional state. I like to define Ananda as the fullness of feeling, or you might say non-dual feeling, as it were. So you feel something totally.
The Purna Shakti.
Yeah, Purna. And so that a tragedy has a great deal of Ananda to it in the artistic. When you feel something fully and deeply, it has a quality of Ananda. It's just not simply feeling good. It's pathos on that particular level. And that Ananda is born of Shanti, and it's also born of awareness. So it's this whole feeling of unity, and so what the other one feels, you also feel. It is not a question of, feeling high.
Nisargadatta Maharaj, in one of, I've read his stuff forever. He says, my love radiates from me like light from a bonfire, focused on none, denied to none. That is Ananda Shakti.
Yes, that is the feeling of the Ananda, which is a manifestation of the consciousness and the being. And it's out of that Ananda that all true creativity arises. It's the basis of the universe.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to speak on tomorrow.
Oh, good. So love and creativity go together, right?
Absolutely.
Ultimate creativity is
Very few of us are
pure
really
love.
creative. Very few of us.
right.
It's very difficult to be creative until you haven't made that space where you're able to surrender to the highest creativity. So there's no need to copy, mimic, borrow. But we are unable to reach that.
Control or be predictable.
Correct.
Okay, so let's now talk a little bit about the 4 yogas and how they pertain perhaps to even the goals of life. And understanding that we're using constructs, of course, we have to when we use language.
Well, I think often these things are misunderstood. I was speaking a little bit earlier today about karma yoga. And karma yoga as the pursuit of excellence, and karma yoga as doing your action as an offering to the divine, in which you do your best, not just simply service or any of those things. So that is the foundation of all the yogas. The bhakti yoga as also the same thing. It's the offering of your emotions to the divine. to make your expression, your aesthetic, your feeling as if the divine were present there. And the Gyan Yoga, as the yoga of direct awareness and direct perception and direct knowing beyond the mind.
Can that include reflection? Who am I?
Gyan Yoga, this is something very much misunderstood. In the Jnana Yoga and in yoga overall, we need to do a lot of deep thinking. It's not a question of being mindless. It's easy to be mindless and thoughtless at a certain outer level. Tremendous investigation, vichara, is required, or I also call it shodhana, shuddhi. There needs to be a fundamental questioning of everything we do, who we are, what we think. And unless that fire of inquiry comes up, these samskaras are not destroyed. So Gyan does require a deeper level of thinking, not the mechanical thought of memory and the mind, but that ability to remain in the openness of fundamental questions.
Can you, let's elaborate on that, the whole doctrine of neti is expounded by Adi Shankara in his beautiful hymn, which we have here. We might play it right now before the close of the session. But if I can see it and experience it at the level of thought, if I can conceptualize it, imagine it, taste it, smell it, it's not real.
It's not real and it's not you.
It's not you.
It's on the outside. Neti just simply means that whatever you can experience is not you. It's not relevant.
By definition.
By definition. So everything is almost self-negating. It will go away. So you are not anything that you see, anything on the outside. You are the inner light of the seer. That is the meaning of neti.
Goals of life as understood, dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
Well, the main...
Is there a sequence to them?
Yes, the sequence should be with dharma. The problem is we put kama first. And
then dharma colors everything.
yeah, the dharma is understanding your swadharma, your essential nature, your karmas, taking karmic responsibility for your life, and having your sense of divine purpose. That is discovering your dharma. Once you have that higher dharma, then artha, then you have certain goals that you seek.
Translate in English.
Artha means a goal, or it means sometimes it's regarded as wealth. It's the things that you need to accomplish, to do things, to gain things, to hold things. So you create those things.
Includes money.
Includes money. You create those things to manifest your dharma, but it's also more than money. It's goals, purpose. And then kama, in the higher sense, you should enjoy yourself in what you are doing and fulfilling your dharma. That is the more intrinsic happiness versus the pleasure you get running after things on the outside. And then the moksha, you gain, doing your dharma gives you freedom because you have fulfilled your purpose, you have done your duty, you have gained the things that you need to gain, you have enjoyed what is there for you to enjoy, then you have the ability to let go at the level of the soul.
So freedom from karma, basically.
Freedom from karma, but also the freedom of having manifested your inner being.
Mm-hmm.
See, what happens in our world, we start with kama, and then artha becomes outer. It becomes merely wealth, outer power. And then dharma becomes, as an outer thing, becomes a job, an occupation. And then the moksha becomes whatever freedom we get for having a lot of things. So when we put kama first, then all the problems arise from that, and even kama gets limited or lost. But you have to understand that most of what you call your desires aren't yours at all.
They're the hypnosis of social conditioning.
Constant.
It's recycled addictions and recycled emotions and
And
recycle.
the mind is an addiction-forming mechanism.
Right.
The abhinavesha, construct, addiction, that is how the mind works.
So
what
in
we
a
need-
sense, then no thought actually belongs to us.
No thought.
Unless
the body
it's-
doesn't belong to you.
Yeah, unless it's a brand new creative impulse.
But even that doesn't belong
It comes
to
from
you.
the inward.
You're manifesting.
You're
it.
manifesting.
In fact, thoughts are, like the air.
That's a very good thing to know, that if thoughts don't belong to you, why do you have to hold on to them? Next.
And what are you going to hold
do
on
we
to your
delve?
thoughts with?
Yeah.
Where are you going to put them?
There's no one to hold on to. Nobody holding on. Shambhavi, anything to explore here?
Now, I think that if we do bring in that dharmic approach to everything, then
Swadharma first.
yeah. So, it's like how when I teach Shakti, it's Swashakti, my inner essence. So when it has, when it has a coloring or a veiling of dharma, then we are conscious at every moment of what we are doing. So even if we are enjoying ourselves, we need to be conscious. If we are working, we need to be conscious. So once we develop or cultivate that awareness or consciousness, life has to change for the better, because we are aware. So that dharmic perspective, it's very important to cultivate and understand, but in the right perspective, not dharma as of moralizing do's and don'ts. That again we've constructed that.
10 commandments.
Mm-hmm.
So all the time, everybody uses the word I. I went to the movies, I had Chinese dinner, I didn't like this, I liked that. Where and who or what is I? I know you've said it, but we need to explore it a little bit.
Yes, and also we
Everybody's having an
yeah.
experience. I is having an experience right now.
Well, but you see, but there's an illusion in that. For example, if you say, I went to the theater, your body went there. Your I is still I. It hasn't become something else in the process. You have certain mental states, but the I remains I. So we're not grounded in ourself, in our inner being. That is the problem. So then we get caught up in the I is this, the I is that, this is happening. But what's happening is through the instruments, the body and the mind. The body goes places. You remain in yourself. The mind experiences different things, but you remain in your essential nature. Body and mind are different. Inner self is one. So it's that change of perspective that is required. Again, going back to the I and its essential nature, so rather than the I doing things. Because the fact is we don't know ourselves, and yet we're trying to do something and go somewhere and become somebody, when in fact we are transcendent.
So I has no location in space or time.
No, none.
And space and time are constructs
Of the mind.
And therefore, would you say an experience? Because all experience comes from constructs, right?
They're an outer experience.
Outer
They're not an experience, and they're not on a state of self-experience.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. See, the problem is we tend to confuse mind and consciousness.
True.
And constructs and the one who is
True.
observing those particular
Yes.
constructs. And when we say that time and space are constructs of the mind, it sounds very abstract. But it's a really very simple experiential thing. We are always dwelling in the presence of consciousness, whether we're considering the past, the present, or the future, or we're considering this location or that location. Presence of consciousness is the constant factor. It is like the screen on which all these, or the mirror on which all these other factors move. Your inner being is remaining there. Your outer being is having certain experiences. In your essential nature, you don't do anything. Action is done by the body and the mind. You are that essential awareness that does not require any externalities.
And then, language is a very interesting thing, because depending on how you use language, at least in many of the Western spiritual traditions, your soul dwells in eternity. And many people who start to think in those terms, they think of endless time. But what you're saying is consciousness is not in time. It's timeless, which is very different from endless duration of time.
You see, the endless duration is the eternity in the manifest sense is in the universe, at the outside nature. But the inner self is timeless, and that is why we say it can hold eternity in every moment. It can hold infinity at every point in space. It is smaller than the smallest and greater than the greatest. That is the essence of the
And it is always now.
It is always present.
Because now is not a moment in time, it's presence.
The presence of awareness. Or as Ramana used to say, there's no place or time where we are not there.
Mm-hmm.
So that essence of being...
Who used to say?
Huh?
Ramana.
Ramana.
Yeah. There's no. So time is not a, there is in fact no time. Now is also not in time. It's the presence that is always there, timeless. You were saying?
Then, in all this construct and deconstruct, where is the soul's experience?
I think soul, the way most people use it, is another construct.
Well, it is. In fact, in a lot of the Western religious thought, the soul requires a body and has to go to heaven. In the Vedic view, the what we call the Jivatma is the reincarnating being, which is the reflection of the Paramatma or the pure consciousness. So it's pure consciousness caught in the mind.
Is the soul.
Is
what
soul.
we call the soul. Yeah, that's true.
But when we awaken at the level of the soul, we recognize that we are an immortal being taking many births, having many bodies. And that changes our value system, and that makes our lives into a search in consciousness, which is our true goal. But that is an inner search. In fact, what we say is that you shouldn't seek anything. Seeking is on the outside. But you need to do the deepest search within. And in that search, the one on the journey disappears along the way.
But then, in all this awareness, why are we today in such a flux?
Avidya. Right?
But with all the teachings going out, the guidance,
Because it's being transmitted at the level of information mainly, and then it becomes more data, and as we say, the more you know, the less you are. Because you're getting trapped in the details.
And I would like you, because you're very articulate in explaining with clarity, to explain, which you have done already, karma, but the word sanskara and the word vasana, you can also. So let's talk about that, because in a way it addresses what scientists call the hard problem of consciousness. I'll come to that in a moment.
Yes. Yeah, the sanskaras are karmic patterns. They are deeper tendencies or the deeper identities. Sometimes they say it's like the rut in the road made by the wheel. Once that rut is created, you tend to fall into that rut again. Vasana means something...
Before, a baby born has, you have twins.
Right.
And they're identical twins.
Right.
And they have different personalities right in the beginning.
Right.
Is that sanskara? And
Yes,
vasana?
that's the sanskaras are the DNA of the soul. They are your karmic patterns that you come in with. And that's why in the same family, they may share the same physical DNA, but they have different karmic sanskaras. And it's the Jyotish that helps us understand what a person's sanskaras are. Thoughts, activities they've done habitually, and so they are embedded in the subconscious mind, and they become tendencies out of which we operate. Now, vasanas refers to the same thing, but in a different way. Vasana means like a perfume. Whatever we do has a certain perfume to it, has a certain fragrance to it, flavor to it, the residue of what occurred there. So whatever we're doing is creating sanskaras and vasanas that create then kind of the raw material and the tendencies of what we become over time. So to change who we are, we have to change the samskaras. And the vasanas at the deeper level of the deeper mind, beyond what we would call unconscious or subconscious mind. And the general rule is the only way to eliminate the negative samskaras is through samadhi. Samadhi, or the deeper state of inspiration and unity consciousness, is the means of eliminating these samskaras, not fighting with the samskaras.
So in a sense, sanskara is also the seed of memory, the potential memory?
Yes, so samskara is the seed of memory, and the deeper memory-based tendencies that you have. For example, someone may be born with artistic samskaras. They'll naturally gravitate towards art in certain ways. We have certain seed tendencies, but at a deeper level, sanskara means a sacrament. So it's something that is done with intention. And so by creating these sacramental, ritualistic, empowered activities, by introducing the sacred, then we can move from the lower samskaras to the higher samskaras.
I'd like to try something with the audience. So all of you, can you just for a second remember the house that you lived in when you were a teenager? Are you having an experience? Can you see it? Where was that before I asked the question?
All these samskaras are latent in the deeper levels of the mind.
So they're not in the brain?
No.
Good.
No. In fact, what the samskara is more the seed out of which that comes. In other words, the brain is holding certain outer structural factors, but the light and the energy behind them is held at a different level. So the samskara is also the way our energy operates, not just simply the way some form has been created. Now, going back to that house, what is it that gives that house meaning for you? It is the fact that you were there. See? It is the feelings that you had when you were there. So essentially, that house is a reflection of you, and that is why it is important for you.
A sense of attachment. That's why we identify with that.
The meaning. In Sanskrit, we read the sequential unfoldment from the unmanifest into the manifest as para, pashyanti, madhyama, vaikhari. Can you explain those 4 words?
Yes. You know, manifestation is through space, time, space, location. And manifestation then is through energy. And energy at a subtle level is through sound, which is the basis of meaning, shabda, vibration. There is an unmanifest sound, like a lightning current that pervades all space, which is the basis of all potential. So at the highest level, what we call the para vibration, there is the state of pure transcendence, the pure self-being, self-awareness. And as that moves into manifestation, pashyanti, it develops into a power of seeing in which various principles, ideals, seeds, laws, dharmas, we say causal forms, comes into being. And sound and meaning then come out and begin to diversify also as minds, creatures, devatas, and so forth. Then it moves into the madhyama level, which is a level of prana, energy, subtle form. And then finally into the vaikhari form, into the manifest, verbal, descriptive, form-based world in which we live, in which things have a precise location in time and space. For example, you have the cup on the table, you can identify in a particular place. But the color white or the color blue, see, you can't put that in a particular place. That can be in any number of places. So the particular is a manifestation of general, abstract, and ultimately transcendent principles which remain there all the time. In other words, the fact that you have particularities, that we are different people here, we're still sharing certain common grounds, prana, awareness, unity. Or to get back to our metaphor earlier today, we're all nice and different in the waking state, but in deep sleep we're pretty much in the same place.
Finally, is there such a thing as matter?
There is no such thing as matter as something that's totally fixed or solid, as even science knows. There are forms, but the form or pattern that holds something within is a reflection of the form or pattern that's also going in the opposite direction, like a gestalt. So each form that seems to be limiting something, like the surface of your body is opening up through the universe as a whole. You're actually breathing through your skin and connecting with the organ of your skin through the entire world around you. So where does your body end and the rest of the world begins? It's all a set of connections, see? And connections may be to different degrees or different levels, but they are all interconnections, interconnecting in interdimensional ways.
Shambhavi, we want to say a few things. By the way, a lot of this I should have sent you. I'm not doing a promo, but some of this is in my new book, You Are the Universe. Not as eloquent as you are, but trying to explain it to the common person who doesn't have this experience. Anything else you want to say?
So I think it is essential that we begin to experience that reality, because our lives are so caught up in the unreal. And that is the reason why, as I said earlier, we are in this flux today. We are unhappy with all this knowledge available. Earlier, this knowledge was not there because it was taught one-on-one. Today, this knowledge is everywhere.
But he said it's at the level of information.
Correct.
And not at the level of experience.
So we need to build that awareness. We need to create more programs where we share this knowledge more as awareness and experience. So when we bring our focus to how to experience this knowledge and wisdom, I think it will help a lot of us change our lives and experience the Ananda.
Yeah. But can you explain to them how you introduce Shakti in order to turn our ordinary activities into the inner experience?
See, even when we speak about Shakti, I always say, what is Shakti? It's an awareness of Bhudevi, Mother Earth. It's an awareness of Mahaprakriti, or the great nature, and the light behind the cosmic heavens. But how do we bring that into our experience? Because I do believe that it's a force of vibration that carries all this wisdom. That was my own experience. I haven't read a lot of the old texts, so I haven't studied with great masters except living with Vamadeva ji. But for me, being able to go back to that reality of Shakti, which is, as I said, the earth. Today, we have distanced ourselves from this reality. Even when people are teaching Tantra, they're teaching it in a very different experience. This time, we had a beautiful experience at BHU University in Varanasi, and they asked me to give a talk on Tantra. And interestingly, I wrote back to them saying, I cannot teach the conventional Tantra, and if you allow me to share my experience of Tantra with the students, then I think that's the only way to go. And they did agree after about a week, 10 days. I guess they were nervous. And this is how I opened up my talk, is what is Tantra? It's a weaving of my vibrations with the cosmic vibrations. So that can only be experiential. It cannot be book knowledge. So if the professors and the teachers and all of us take that wisdom at an experiential level with awareness, I think there's much more scope for harmony and peace and happiness, which that Ananda, which you said love, we all are searching.
Two more words and then we'll close this. And Renee, can you find that hymn, Adi Shankara's hymn? You know what I'm talking about? We play it in Silent Awakenings. Chidananda Rupam. Chidananda Rupam. Yeah, find it. Find a good version. Huh? Smriti and Shruti. Because I think what she is saying about Shakti, in a sense, is the vibrational element of Shruti, which brings the memory of wholeness.
Yes. Yeah, well, Shruti is the vibrational, revelatory essence that comes forth from consciousness. Drishti, to introduce another term, is the seeing, not through the eyes, but the direct awareness perception. So drishti and shruti going together. Smriti is regarded as memory, but memory occurs at different levels. We have our ordinary memories, but there is the deepest level of memory where we remember our essential nature. And that type of smriti is also born of meditation and dharana, concentration. The more we are aware of ourselves, remember ourselves, then we move into that realm of universal revelation where we discover ourselves in all things and where we see the unity behind all things. And when that unity is created, or the ananda is the unfoldment that arises through that.
Well, I think this has been an extraordinary session, and something that we should go back to, and we've filmed this and I will make it public too, but you should, if you're interested, go back to this talk again, because these are very precious moments of insight that we have with great scholars and people who have the experience as well. So I thank you both. Thank you very much, Vamadeva ji, and thank you. Did you find it? Just go to YouTube, type out Adi Shankara, and just the words Chidanand, Chidanand.
I have a very sweet version which I teach all our sadhaks. Is Anandarupam Shivoham Shivoham Anandarupam Shivoham 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 Shivoham.
You can terminate your search. Thank you.